Here's a weird question. When was the last time you did absolutely nothing? Not scrolling, not catching up on emails, not resting while your mind runs through tomorrow's to-do list. Just nothing. Can't remember? Yeah, me neither. And that's kind of the problem. See, we've been sold this idea that if we're not productive, we're wasting time. That every moment should be optimized. That busyness equals success. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not productive, you're just busy. And there's a massive difference. Somewhere along the way, busyness became a status symbol. It's like a badge we wear. "Oh, I'm so busy" becomes our default response to "how are you?" Like being overwhelmed proves we're important. Like being stressed means we're succeeding. But let's be honest, that's not success. That's survival mode. And we've confused the two. See, productivity culture has this sneaky way of making you feel like you're accomplishing something when really you're just moving. You're grinding, hustling, maximizing every minute. We've got apps to manage our apps, calendars to schedule our calendars, systems to organize our systems. And somehow, we're busier than ever. But are we actually getting anywhere? Because here's what I've noticed. Busyness is also a coping mechanism. It's what we do when we're afraid to stop. When you're constantly in motion, scheduling, doing, optimizing, responding. You don't have time to ask the big questions like, wait, what am I actually doing with my life? Is this what I want? Or is this just what I can manage? So we stay busy, because busyness feels safer than stillness. It gives us something to point to. Look how much I'm doing. Look how hard I'm working. But toward what? And here's the really uncomfortable part. We feel guilty for not being busy, even when we're drained, even when we're running on empty. We feel like if we're not constantly producing, we're wasting time. But what if the opposite is true? What if being busy is the waste? Here's what productivity culture doesn't tell you. The endless to-do list is preventing you from actually being present in your life. You're so busy doing that, you forgot how to be. And that matters, because presence is where life actually happens. Not in the completed task, not in the inbox you finally cleared, not in the perfect morning routine. Life happens in the moments between the tasks. The conversation with your kid that you're too distracted to really hear. The sunset you didn't notice because you were checking your phone. The creative idea that tried to emerge but got drowned out by the noise of your schedule. We've traded presence for productivity. And we're losing. And then there's the myth of multitasking. We think we're being efficient by doing 3 things at once. But research shows we're actually terrible at it. We're not multitasking. We're task switching. And every switch costs us focus, energy, quality. But we can't stop. Because stopping feels like failing. So we keep going. We keep doing. We keep saying yes to everything because we're afraid of what happens if we say no. And here's what nobody talks about. Time is the only resource you can never get back. Money, you can make more. Opportunities, there'll be others. Relationships, they can heal. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. And the scariest part is, you can have your time stolen. Not by bad people, by good ones. By well-meaning friends who just want to talk. By bosses who just need 5 minutes. By obligations that seem important but don't actually matter. Your time can be squandered, devalued, abused, and the only person who can protect it is you. So how do you reclaim your time when the world wants all of it? You start by realizing something radical. Not everything good is the right thing. Think about that. You can be invited to 100 good things, valuable things, worthy causes. But if they're not your thing, they're a distraction. And here's what I've learned. The enemy of your purpose isn't laziness, it's distraction. Distraction disguised as opportunity. Distraction dressed up as responsibility. Distraction that makes you feel busy and important while quietly stealing the life you actually want. So here's the shift. You have to design your days, or someone else will design them for you. And I'm not talking about rigid schedules. I'm talking about sovereignty, knowing what matters to you, and protecting it. That means boundaries, real ones, with work, with technology, with people. It means saying no to things that don't serve your vision, even when they seem good. It means prioritizing energy over time, because you can have 12 hours in a day, but if you're drained, those hours are worthless. You have to protect your peak hours, the times when you're most alive, most creative, most yourself, and use those hours for what actually matters. Not email, not meetings, not other people's emergencies, your life, your work, your purpose. And here's the key: unscheduling. Instead of filling every moment, leave space. Intentional white space. Time to think, to rest, to just be. Because that's where the magic happens, not in the hustle, in the stillness. That's where clarity emerges, where creativity flows, where you remember who you are. But you have to protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Here's the big shift. Stop measuring your life by how much you do. Start measuring it by who you become. Productivity culture wants you to believe that your worth is tied to your output, that the more you do, the more valuable you are. But that's a lie, because you can be wildly productive and completely empty. You can check every box and still feel hollow. You can optimize your entire life and miss the point. The point isn't to do more, it's to be more present, more alive, more you. And that doesn't happen in the grind, it happens in the pause. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Redefine success, not by how busy you are, but by how engaged you are. Not by how many tasks you completed, but by how many moments you actually lived. Not by how productive you were, but by how present you were. Because at the end of your life, nobody's going to care about your inbox. They're going to remember the times you showed up fully, completely, present. The times you weren't too busy to listen, to laugh, to just sit. That's the life worth living. Not the one where you did everything, but the one where you were everything. And that requires something radical, choosing less, focused leisure, intentional rest, strategic stillness, not as a reward for productivity, but as the foundation of a meaningful life. Look, I get it. The world rewards busyness. Your boss wants you available. Your inbox never stops. Your calendar fills itself. And opting out of productivity culture feels like opting out of success. But here's what I've learned. The people who actually build lives they love, they're not the busiest, they're the most intentional. They know the difference between motion and progress, between doing and being, between busyness and life. And they choose life, not because they have more time, but because they stopped letting other people design their days. So here's my challenge to you. Design 2026, not around what you think you should do, but around what actually matters. Protect your time like it's the only currency you have, because it is. Say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things. And stop measuring your worth by your output. You're not here to be productive, you're here to be alive. And alive doesn't happen on a to-do list. It happens in the moments you stop long enough to notice. The world will keep rushing by. It always does. But you get to choose whether you rush with it, or whether you sit down, look it in the eye, and say, not today. I'm here. I'm present. I'm alive. And that's the most productive thing you'll ever do.